Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. If you saw one of my last videos, I did an unboxing and a review of this welder here. This is a YesWelder MIG205DS-B MIG welder. It's a pretty good welder, and today I'm going to put it to the test. I'm going to bring you along with me. We're going to make this smokeless fire pit. I'm going to show you exactly how I did it, step by step. If you haven't already, like the channel and please subscribe. Okay, after laying down the tape, I came in 2 inches from the side and 2 inches from the top and made my first mark. I used a piece of scrap wood, made 2 reference points spacing 1.5 inches, clamped another piece of scrap wood, marking a 2 inch for the top, and started marking all my holes. All 57 of them. I came back with a punch and punched all 57 marks, and then I was able to remove the tape. The bit I'm using to drill the holes is a 3/4 inch heavy-duty carbide hole saw bit. Awesome drill bit for cutting into steel. The only complaint I saw when buying the bit was the center drill bit quite often breaks. With that knowledge, I decided to use a small step bit and pre-drill all 57 holes. With all 57 pre-drilled holes finished, I then was able to use the carbide hole saw bit and drill all 57 holes to its final size. Doing this whole entire project, this was the part that seemed to take forever. I probably could have skipped the pre-drilling, but I figured to be safe than sorry. On a similar project, I drilled all my holes with a step bit. This carbide hole saw bit worked so much better, easier, and faster. All the holes are finally done. Let's move on. So the size piece I need is 93 inches by 12.5 inches. So I'm going to use my plasma cutter, cut a full sheet at 12.5. Once the sheet's cut, then I'll cut to the final length of 93 inches. Okay, so the bottom of the inner tub is going to be 29.5 inches. So using my new circle jig, I'm going to cut out the 29-inch circle. It's time to clean up the edges so we can start welding. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack my inner tub sides to the circle I cut out. I'm going to try to manipulate and follow the circle all the way around. With everything tacked in place, it's time to weld it up. I am done welding the inner tub here. Just got to clean up some of the edges. Once cleaned up, I'll start on the outer tub. I need to cut out the upper ring. This is going to involve 2 cuts. The outside diameter is going to be 34.5. The inside will be 28. This circle jig I made in a previous video. If you haven't seen it, I'll leave a link below. It works incredible. It's perfect. It cuts a great circle. And it was extremely easy to make. To cut out the 28-inch circle, it's as simple as measuring the center of the cup, 14 inches, to the center of the magnet to give me my 28-inch circle. As always, if you have any questions about the project, welders, tools used today, or have any other comment or suggestions about future projects, please let me know in the comments below. I'm going to line it up and tack it to the inner ring. I was using the binder strap to try to make the inner tub as round as possible so I could tack this in place. Now I can flip it over and weld it up. At this point, I'm going to clean up the edges, I'm going to clean up the welds, I'm going to use acetone and clean up the metal, and I'm going to paint the outside before the next step. The reason I'm painting now is because once the outer layer is on, I'm never going to be able to hit this with paint. I don't want it to rust out. The type of paint I'm using is a high heat resistant paint. For the outer wall, I'm going to cut 12.5 inches. The full length of 96 inches. And I'm then going to cut a 6-inch by 12.5. I'm going to weld these two together, and that'll give me the proper length for my outside diameter. I'm adding grips underneath just to help catch the metal so it doesn't fall on the floor. Okay, this 6-inch piece, I'm going to overlap 2 inches, weld it to the 96-inch piece. I do not have a bender, but what I do have is an 18-inch diameter heavy-duty pipe. I'm able to clamp the sheet metal to it. I'm going to roll it, and it works pretty good for me. It gets me close enough that I can weld it in place. After rolling it, I overlapped by 2 inches. I clamped it. I'm going to tack it in place. Then I'm going to weld it all up. By extending this the extra 6 inches, it allows me to have an 1.5 inch gap between the inner tub and the outer tub. It's all welded up. Let's clean it up and weld it on. Once again, I'm using a binder to help keep it round as possible. I also have 1.5 inch spacers placed around the tub. Before I tack this in place, I did paint the inside. Once again, once welded, I'm not going to be able to paint the inside. As you see, I'm tacking it up right now. Once done, I'll weld it all up. I need to get the fire pit off the ground. I'm going to try to make a template here. I'm going to make it all in one piece. The goal is to get off the ground 4 inches. The center of the feet I want to be approximately 2 inches. Once I get this template completely cut out, I'm going to clean up the edges. I'm going to use this as a tracer for my plasma cutter to cut out 4 feet. My goal is to come in 4 inches on either side, bend it to a 90-degree angle, then bend the tongue, the 2-inch tongue in the center, to meet up with it. Let me show you now how I accomplish this. With my template all cut out and cleaned up, I have it clamped to my workpiece. I'm going to take my plasma cutter and trace out the outside following the template, and this is how I'm going to make my feet. So when I actually designed this template, I kept in mind that my plasma cutter is 1/8 of an inch off from center. Knowing this, I designed this template to be 1/8 inch smaller on all sides. With the Sharpie, I marked a 2-inch center on either side, so I can score with a grinder either side to help me make a nice sharp bend. Alright, with it scored, I put it in my vise and I bent at the scored marks. By scoring the inside before bending it, it makes it really easy to bend. It gives you a nice sharp bend, and it makes it real easy to get an exact 90-degree angle. Okay, with both sides bent at a 90-degree angle, next thing to do is bend the tongue so it meets the sides. I'm going to use a hammer to make this bend nice and sharp. And that's it. This is exactly how I made each and every one of the 4 feet. I welded up the sides, made it all one piece. And when I welded the bottom of the pit, I made sure I welded it to the inside and the outside tub. Alright, for the bottom of the inner tub, I need to make a vent. I'm going to make this vent into the shape of a plus sign. It's going to be 24 inches long on both sides, and the width will be 2 inches. What I'm cutting out here is the 1 inch by 24 inch side parts of the vent. I'm going to cut out 4 of these. Then I'm going to cut out 2 at 2 inches by 24 inches. That'll be the top plate of the vent. Using a clipboard, I made a template to give me 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch squares on the side vents. I got the idea from Mike Festiva. His channel is really good, really informative. You need to check him out. So after I'm done cutting the squares out, I'm going to cut the side vents in half. And this again will make sense in a minute. So I grabbed one of the 2 by 24 inch pieces and cut it down so I can make a perfect cross measuring 24 inches by 24 inches. I tacked it in place and welded it up. I took my side vent pieces, cut them down so they would sit just in about 1/4 inch on each corner. I welded 2 of them at a 90-degree angle, and I did the same for the other 6 side pieces. With all the side vents welded together, now I can weld them to the top vent plate. I did weld them with the notches facing the top plate. I centered the cross on the bottom of the inner tub, then welded in place. I missed recording it, but before I welded this in place, I did cut 1.5 by 3 rectangles right where the ends meet to form the cross. This will give the necessary airflow to the fire. Everything's all welded up. I ended up using one 4x8 sheet of 14 gauge steel and a 96 inch by 12.5 inch off another sheet. I painted the whole entire pit with the high heat paint. This smokeless fire pit was a fun project and it worked incredibly well. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel.